Now, do you, in your heart of hearts, like think, is there a real difference between consciousness and observer? These are quite the ones that actually quite fundamental for me.
Okay.
And that is,
Okay.
do you actually see the difference between consciousness and the observer? Is there a real difference? If there is, how do you see that?
Again, there are different levels of consciousness.
Okay.
We use the general term consciousness to really refer to different levels of awareness. And the observation is actually something specific that has to do with objectifying or seeing something separate from you as an observer. Well, of course, you can observe yourself.
In the state of awake, like we are.
Observer can also be in the state of dreaming, because you can observe, you can see dreams, you can see images.
Right.
There's not much of an observer in the deep sleep state where you have no dreams. However, there's still some awareness.
Right.
Because next morning when you wake up, you say, "Oh, I had a very, very deep sleep." So somebody was awake. Somebody was there.
I like that.
Somebody was awake. Somebody never sleeps.
Yeah.
Otherwise, would forget it. It would say, "Oh, I don't remember."
That's amazing. Now, if we could only find out who is that one who is awake, that would be amazing.
Well, the one that you are referring to is your true self. Is you.
Yeah. So that must be an amazing state to be awake all the time to find that.
We're actually awake all the time. We ourselves are awake. I don't mean awake.
Deep down, you mean?
Deep down, yeah.
As a fundamental.
As a fundamental.
Okay.
We're awake all the time. We think, or we believe, or we're conditioned, or whatever you want to call it, that we're this or that or this or that, and
okay.
Then
forms of awareness.
Forms of awareness, but the underlying awareness is the same. And maybe in that sense, the observer with a capital O is not different from fundamental awareness. But in physics, it has very specific to do with the act of observation.
So would it be right, like quantum mechanical sense, that this one who is awake all the time? Anyway, so what I'm saying is, from what you said, there's this awareness that's awake all the time. We call that fundamental. So now in the quantum mechanical sense, would it be okay to say that the other states are kind of quantized states of that fundamental, or eigenstates of the other one, like dreaming and sleeping and all?
We don't use that term. In quantum mechanics, eigenstate is very specific, and they would probably, I would be leery
because there's no in between, is there? I mean, if you're asleep, you're asleep, and then you're dreaming.
In that sense, yeah. If you want to say distinct states, but actually, there's times where you can be in sleep and a wake state.
Really?
Well, when you're falling asleep, you're somewhere in between, right? You're not quite.
That's the wandering state, isn't it?
Yeah, sure. So there are some states that are in between.
No, I was going by Indian philosophy. There's a wandering state, there's a sleep state, and a wake state.
Yeah. Well, for all practical purposes, if you wanted to put them in some sort of diagram for probability distribution, yeah, the awake state, if in terms of being awake, aware, it has probably a very sharp peak.
Okay.
But it might have some wings, where the sleep state gets mixed up a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, and dream state, sometimes when you drive, you may be falling asleep, right? You're not completely fall asleep. Absolutely. Because then you have an accident. You're not completely awake, so Yeah.
The thing that really mystifies me is, okay, sleep is all dark and blackout. When you're dreaming and you're seeing a dream,
you can be very lucid.
Yeah, but then what is it that illuminates that dream, that light?
It's the inner light. It's the light of consciousness, and
it's the light of consciousness.
Yes, it's light of consciousness. It's your mind actually sees objects. You can close your eyes and see some things, But
it always amazes me where that light actually comes from.
Well, I mean, traditional scientists will say it comes from sort of process inside the neurons. Of course, they don't really know, so it's just words.
But that light isn't like the physical light, isn't like this, like made up of photons or something. It's a different substance.
It would manifest as photons. It would manifest as photons. Yeah, it would manifest as photons. But you can have the eyes closed, or you know. Now I'm not a blind person, so I don't know. But maybe even blind people see some sort of or feel, or I'm not quite sure exactly how. So, but, yeah.